everyone, it's Karen and I'm back with my design team project for AngeldreamcraftsKim on Etsy, and this is my first design team project for the month of April. Working on a snippet roll, a hand stitched one, and I decided to put it on a spool and then fancy up the spool with a beautiful flower and detail on top, all from AngeldreamcraftsKim. And I added some of her laces and trims to the snippet roll as well, and created the little spool just with cardboard and a little bit of fabric, and I used a spool in the center like this one, just a spool that comes, this has some heavier embroidery floss on it. You can see what kind of spool, and I just used that for the center and then put cardboard on each end, which I'll show you, and then wrap the snippet roll around it. This is hand stitched snippet roll. I just was sitting and adding fabrics to a backing of, and I just created this. I didn't create it to be cut apart. I created it to sit on my desk here and enjoy it. So it's not in any way have spots where you could cut it. It's large enough that I could, if I wanted to, take it and use it to use as a closure on a journal if I wanted to, or down the spine of a large book. I have some books that I have done that, where I've done the whole spine in a slow stitch like this, and they turn out really pretty. And here you can see this is just a piece of, it's actually a couple pieces of cardboard, like cereal box, and I just glued them together to make it more sturdy. I added a piece of fabric on the bottom there, did the same for the topper one, added different fabric here, and then I built up this pretty flower on top. I added some tulle from my stash, and then these are two of the beautiful wing parts of that lace, and she still has it in the shop. I think she calls it hearts and butterflies because it has hearts on it as well. And then this is a bit of the applique that was left, couple of leaves, and then a flower with some leaves. This is a combination of flower that was from Kim's shop, and then I also added a bit of a silk flower in there to build it all up. And then there's one of the flowers from one of the laces in the center, and then the very center is one of the large pearls that I had in my design team package that came with on the rondelle, and I've just placed it in there for the center. And then this is part of the beaded trim, little butterfly, and I've just attached that onto the edge of the flower there. So it's really pretty when it sits on my desk. You can, if it's slowed down, you can see it, and if it's from the side, you see where it finishes off. I just used a pretty pin with a heart on the top to attach it onto the roll or a spool that I created, and I'll just unroll it and show it to you. There's one of the hearts from that wings and lace that I just showed you, the wing part on the top, and these are the hearts that are part of that lace. These are some little bows. I think Kim still might have those in her shop too. They are super cute. This is a piece of one of the laces along here at the bottom, the white, and then I added the bows on top. Here's another beautiful piece of that lace, and this is definitely still in the shop. I've cut a piece off here and added it, and it's the same lace as where the little butterfly came from on the top. I've done just a bunch of French knots here. I finished the edge with blanket stitch, and this is a piece of Kim's lace here, and I've just stitched it on. Some of them I've stitched on just with a plain cotton so that you don't really see it, it blends in. And then I've used the accent colors for like the blanket stitch and a little stitch to put the bows on. And I've also put beads in here too with the French knots. I just like it because it adds a little bit of a sparkle. This is a weaving stitch that you do to make this kind of a flower, and I did it on top of one of her little flowers that goes with this lace with the hearts. That lace is really pretty. I don't have any left. I used it all up with all my projects, but it has the flowers and the hearts and the little butterfly type wings like right here. So you get a lot of different things that you can cut apart. This is a piece of trim from Kim's shop, and one of my design team packages from last year, but and I liked how it looked there. This was in my design team package. These are the ones that you can use as petals or leaves, or I used it on a project just as it was as a trim as well. So here I used it as leaves. This is a really fine ribbon I have for doing ribbon embroidery, and I just kind of looped it along there and stitched it with little seed beads. I did some embroidery on it, and I embroidered it and then I stitched them on. So they kind of have like a fussy cut look to them because they have the white around the edge. This is one of Kim's pretty laces, and I've done it in one of the hexagons, and then I've attached it on here with little beads. Here's another one of Kim's laces, and I added it here, and this blue one is part of her laces too. She had this in blue and I think cream color in the shop. I think she still has the cream one, and it's just a floral, and then I just added beads in the centers of the flowers. And this is a white one that was in my design team package, and I added stitches and beads and French knots. Look, sort of like stamens coming out of it in red and pink. And then some more French knots in the purples with a little bit of beads in there as well. There's all different little snippets of fabric in the background that are the first thing that you stitch on. And you can see some of the stitches in the background. I used just a plain thread to stitch all the fabric on before I started doing the embroidery. This is another one of Kim's flowers that I had, and I did the weaving stitch in the center and then added long stitches and French knots. Here's one of the beaded pieces from the beaded trim. It's a leaf, and I've a couple leaves, and I've added them here. Then there is another flower, and I've added that pretty little center that she sent, or that it had the two little loops on each side. That was in my design team package, and I put it on here for the center of the flower, and I actually put a French knot through each of the little loops to hold it down, and then added French knots in the other petals, so it kind of all blends in. You don't really even notice that it has the two loops on there. More of a little piece of that trim again, and just more embroidery and French knots. Here's another piece of the cream trim. This is the same as the blue one. This one is still in the shop. It's a really pretty lace, and again I did another hexagon out of it and then put it on here with, after I made the hexagon out of the lace, I added it with the little pearly beads. Another one of the flowers from that trim, and then I added that center on it. Here's another one of the white flowers with the stitches, French knots, and beads to look like stamens coming out of it. And then at the end is another heart from the heart trim, a couple of more of the little bows, another piece of that, the edge of one of her laces there. And then this is all a cluster of red and pink French knots with some little red beads in there as well. Oh, sorry, just off the camera there. And then I just attached it onto the spool that I made. This is the actual spool part here, you can see. And I just put a piece of fabric around it and some ribbon on the top and bottom just to finish it off. And then I just attached my actual snippet roll right onto there with some stitches. And then this is the back. So the back is all, it's a white sort of cotton linen type fabric. And I used some thin felt in between to stitch through as well. And you can see all the stitching. You can see a lot of the plain stitching as well, where I used just a cotton thread so it's not as noticeable, but you definitely see the colored stitching. There's the back of the butterfly. So you can see all the stitching on there, which I think is fun. I like looking at both sides of it. It's nice to look at your work as well. I've been working on it, on the actual stitching and that for a few weeks, but sort of completed it all just recently. And so that is my design team project for AngeldreamcraftsKim on Etsy. And I will put links to her beautiful Etsy shop in the description box below, and also to all the talented designers, Amy, Charlotte, and Roseanne that are designing beautiful and inspiring projects. And if you've never done slow stitching, there's no rules. If you know some embroidery stitches, you use those. You can just use straight stitches. You can just stitch things down any way that you want to, and you can do, you know, a long strip like this. You can just do smaller ones. I do smaller rectangular ones and fill them with lavender and give them to people as gifts for a little sachet. So you can do a lot of things, and it's a really fun thing to take with you when you're going somewhere, because you don't need to take a lot of stuff. And then you can put it together with some beautiful laces and trims, and you can make something quite beautiful. I hope you'll check out the store, check out the designers. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, enjoying whatever it is you like to do. And I will talk to you all soon. Bye for now.